Alrighty, everybody. Welcome into the Wyoming Valley Conference Preview Podcast. Week 2 is in the books. Week 3 is upon us. I'm here with Billy Splain, the owner of PA Football News. Later, we'll be joined by Quincy Piper. First off, how you doing today?
We're rocking and rolling, buddy. Week three. We have we don't do zero anymore. We do week three. We have decided at PA Football News that week zero does not exist anymore. But excited. Hey, let's talk football, buddy.
Yeah, how about it? So, the Wyoming Valley Conference so far has been pretty destroyed in terms of records. Only one team's undefeated right now. Only a couple teams at 1-1, and this gets right into our storylines. My big storyline is the state runner-ups at 4A. The Dallas Mountaineers are 0-2, albeit some tough opponents they've played. But it is a shocker considering they brought back some not good enough talent. They brought back their quarterback and running back duo from a year ago in Brady Zapaticki and Dylan Geske. You don't usually see that from a team that goes and makes a run at a state championship to bring back their quarterback and their running back. But they have them back. We were talking with Jared Samuel. He's been on the podcast the last couple of weeks. He said injuries has really affected Dallas so far, but still, to have the Mountaineers be 0-2 after an electric undefeated regular season, undefeated all the way until they ran into the train that was Aliquippa in the state title. 0-2 is just a punch in the mouth. They have Abington Heights this week, which is a great matchup. But for me to see that, again, tough opponents, not like they're playing nobody so far. But 0-2 after 15-0 start to the season last year and a 15-1 season really shocks me. What stands out to you in the conference?
Well, Mason, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. Number one, I will say this: Abington Heights used to be a power until the 2020 year. We don't say the other word. Um, Joe Reps just battled and battled up there, and he's trying to put the program back together. They're kind of like in a rebuild mode at Abington Heights, so that kind of shows what a lot of teams are going to face from the Wyoming Valley Conference is. Abington Heights isn't a power, so those out of conference games are going to be a little easier for them. However, they don't seem to be right now. Wyoming area, Lidge Kellum. What can you say about Kellum? Last week had a nice week, 329 yards rushing on the day. That's a pretty good day for a running back who plays for a team that nobody thought they would replace the running back they had last year, but they did. Another team to look at is Pittston. I thought they were going to be stronger this year. So far, they haven't shown what we thought was going to be a Pittston resurgence of sorts. So you're right when it comes to the Wyoming Valley Conference. It's a very down year. Well, Wilkes-Barre has some potential to be a good football team. They've got some pieces in place. They just need to find a way to get it going. Coach Siri, a good friend of mine, is working as hard as he can now. Of course, Wilkes-Barre 2 years ago lost some key players to a team that probably could have won a division title easily with those two players. What's strange that we're talking about is we've got some teams like Wyoming Valley West. We're talking about Berwick. We're talking about um, Wilkes-Barre. These are teams that have large enrollments at their school, and it's just like, where are they? Where are these kids? They don't have the numbers coming out for football. What's going on? So it's kind of a mystery in the Wyoming Valley Conference why we're not getting teams to come out. Hazelton, on the other hand, Hazelton coach is doing a good job at Hazelton. Last year was a good year for them. The year before was a better year, but this year they seem to, like you said, that nobody's coming out of the gate right now. Like nobody wants to win the Wyoming Valley Conference.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago in our season preview. That I felt there was some teams at the top, right? You had your Dallases and your Wyoming areas, Wilkes-Barre, Crestwood. There's just so many teams in the middle, and I thought there was going to be one team that will emerge and become kind of that next team to compete with Dallas and whatnot. There's a whole batch to choose from. Hasn't happened yet. I mean, these teams have not emerged and put a real threat to some of these other teams in the conference, and it seems like the perfect time to do it. Crestwood and Dallas have a combined record of 0-4. I mean, they haven't won a game yet so far through 2 weeks. Wilkes-Barre's 1-1. They had a great win in week number 1. Couldn't follow it up last week. there's a lot of teams, and when we get into our top five teams in the conference, I got two teams at 0-2. That just seems wild in top five in the conference. So this feels like an opportunity for a lot of these teams to go make a run in a down year. Nobody's done it yet. My next big storyline
And we're
is
talking,
what's up?
yeah, you were talking. Dallas is a team who they look strong. They played a very good first game of the year. Just couldn't get the points. This is a team that we have to remember was, of course, they were in the state championship, got decimated by Aliquip, another story, but they lost a giant portion of that team from last year. And yeah, I know when you're winning games, your underclassmen get experience, but they weren't destroying opponents last year. So the underclassmen, we have to remember, did not get that experience that a lot of times happens when you're on your way to a state title.
Yeah, and one of my big storylines as well here, and I've been to both games. This Berwick team has no offense right now, and they haven't done an awful job at stopping people so far. They've allowed 13 the first week. They allowed 28 the next week, so that's 41 points. Not a lot, right? When last year the opening weekend, and although it was against Southern Columbia, they allowed 50 points. They haven't allowed 50 points in 2 weeks yet. This offense, I think everybody around the area where I'm from thought CJ Curry coming in as a quarterback, as an offensive minded guy, the offensive woes that they've had in the past where they weren't able to really establish an identity would kind of go away with this. And it's only 2 weeks, and it's give it time. Rome wasn't built in a day. But 7 points offensively in 2 weeks. They've scored 14 points. One of it was a defensive score, but they haven't scored since the first quarter of last week. So they've gone 7 quarters straight now without putting up a single offensive point. That's a big surprise to me. I didn't think Berwick was going to be great this year, but I thought one of the things would be CJ Curry would show promise in terms of his coaching acumen. I'm not saying he hasn't yet, but the results so far offensively are a little bit concerning for Berwick. We'll see if they can turn around. Lackawanna Trail is a stiff opponent to get your offense going up against. They have some easier games down the stretch that you'd expect against Hanover and Hazleton. So I'm interested to see because this defense is improved so far. They've allowed a lot of yards, but they've had multiple big-time goal line stands, which we haven't seen in the past from this team. But the offense is yet to really find a rhythm. They don't really have a running back they can hand the ball off to 20 times a game and rely on. That's been a big downside of them. So I'm really surprised about the inefficiency and the lack of production from this Berwick offense.
I mean, like in you know, we're also talking about a Borough team who has struggled so much so that they have dropped from Division 1 to Division 2, and that's kind of a tough pill to muster being from Borough myself. But you know, it's so strange to see the records for these teams. I mean, you've got Tunkhannock has a newer coach, a newish coach like Berwick does. Then you got Nanticoke who's dealing with something that we can't even imagine. They lost their coach on the first before their first game. Hanover area is struggling. Like you said, there's only one team that has 2 wins. Wilkes-Barre and Lake Lehman are the only other teams that have wins, and Lake Lehman got one of those wins against the Berwick team. So it's just, I don't know. It's a head scratcher for the Wyoming Valley Conference. I hope to see somebody step up and come through. Crestwood, if you remember correctly, a couple of years ago, Crestwood was a power in 2020 and 2021. They were winning some very good football games against some pretty good football teams and made playoff runs as well. So Crestwood is another team that we were kind of looking forward to and thinking that they might have a decent team this year, but nothing seems to have materialized in this out of conference schedule. It looks like the Lackawanna Conference is the stronger conference in District 2 right now.
And you mentioned Lake Lehman. We have our Lake Lehman guy right here. How about your Black Knights last week? They really put up a good showing.
Hey, I said it. I said sit here and I'll eat my crow like a man if I end up being wrong, and I had my heaping helping on the drive over here today. That was definitely not the best pick on my part, but hey, you live, you learn. Like I said, I'm just eager to learn more about this conference as we go.
Yep, Quincy Piper joining the show.
Nice to meet you.
And
nice to see everybody.
So we've done some storylines. Me and Billy have gone back and forth on storylines. Any
Gotcha.
storylines you have for the Wyoming Valley Conference so far?
Well, this is a kind of a backpack off of what you said, like you said and you had in your notes. I don't think Dallas fans need to fret quite yet. I do like them by about 10 points, maybe 2 touchdowns against Abington Heights. So if they lose that game, yeah, we should be. Well, Dallas fans should be concerned. They put up a heck of a fight against Wyoming area this past Friday night. Luke Kopechny is a sophomore receiver that I watched some highlights on. I really like him. He had 2 for 30 and a touchdown this past weekend. So, but that's just a suffice to say, Dallas fans needn't fret yet. Just like to issue a formal apology to you and Jared for picking Lake Layman last week.
Good.
And I think Wyoming area is like a very good football team. Like, oh, that's an obvious, but I think how they were able to go blow for blow and like defeat a team that went 15-1 a year ago by a touchdown. It's like I think Wyoming area we haven't talked about the last of them yet.
Mm-hmm. All right, I've got my storylines out, Billy. Do you have any more talking here as we dive into the more meat and potatoes of the week 2 storylines?
I'll tell you what. I just want to reiterate again. Our hearts go out to the Nanaco kids. It's got to be really difficult losing your coach right before the season starts and going out and playing these games. I can't even imagine it. It's very difficult, and that is the second coach we lost in the entire state of Pennsylvania this year. Of course, Taylor Allardyce lost their coach right before the season began as well. So, again, just keep trudging Nanacoke and keep playing and working hard and play for coach this year. I will say another thing. We do a weekly thing on our website on PA Football News called the Keystone Club. And honestly, there's only really one school, maybe two, that have players show up, and those are the top performances of the week. And that's it. Wyoming area is one of them, and Wilkes-Barre is the other. Those are two teams that have wins in the Wyoming Valley Conference, and so individual performance wise, that's also showing up.
Yep, definitely. Let's get into our top 5. Power 5 conference in college football is dead, but not in this podcast. The Power 5, top 5 Wyoming Valley Conference teams, 5 through 1. I think we can all agree there's a clear 4, but these top 4 teams that I have are really just hanging on of preseason expectations so far, because, like I said, I do have 2 0-2 teams here in the top 5. So let's get at number 5. I'm gonna go with Tunkhannock. Do I think they're a top 5 team in the conference? Necessarily no, but I really can't put them ahead of any other 0-2 teams. You can definitely say a team like Pittston could be in there and whatnot. But Tunkhannock, they did lose it in week number 1 of Lackawanna Trail, bounced back really well. I do think they will not have the most successful season down the road. I think this is more of a weak Wyoming Valley Conference more than a good football team, but I'll put them at number 5. What do you got, Billy?
Number 5, and are we doing when you do these top? Are you talking both conferences, or are we just in one division right now?
This is the Wyoming Valley Conference, both divisions, every team in the Wyoming Valley Conference.
Well, I'll tell you what. At number 5, I would put Hazleton. Hazleton has a good football team. Riley Van Gilst, he's back this year. They've got him playing good football. So for me, I would have to say Hazleton would kind of probably be about a top 5 team and in the 5th spot.
Quincy, your 5th team?
I'm gonna have to agree with the boss man on this one. I really like what I've seen.
Okay. I would disagree there on Hazleton. We're talking like they're an undefeated team right now. I mean, they're still, but it's a weak Wyoming Valley Conference. You can't really go wrong either way. Let's go to number 4. I'm still going to go Crestwood at number 4. 0-2, albeit, again, against tough opponents. This is a team that this is a big week for them. And if they go to 0-3, I really start to question Crestwood even being a legitimate team in this ranking, considering they're playing Tunkhannock this week. I do think they get on the right foot here. Jaden Shedlock has a really good game. I need Crestwood to kind of be more than a one-dimensional team with Shedlock running the football. So Crestwood's my number 4, only really based off of preseason pedigree, because if it was based on the start of the season, not liking what I'm seeing so far, long season to turn it around. You're number 4, Billy.
Um, Number 4, I went back and forth on this one, and I do agree with you. Crestwood would be my number 4 team. This is a team that definitely can turn their season around. They've got some senior leadership, a little bit more than what many have. So yeah, I do kind of agree with that. Having them at number 4.
Quincy?
Yeah, that's where I'm about where I'm at.
Uh,
I
you,
haven't seen. I'm
mm,
like I said, I haven't seen much separation as
mhm.
far as the 0-2 teams go.
All right, I
You're
see
gonna
you.
you're gonna be shocked with my number 2.
You're following the leader right now.
You're gonna be shocked
You
with my
guys are
number
sheep. Ah, the sheep are
2.
following the shepherd. Let's go to
The
number
Chiefs
3.
he's pretty good at what he does. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, number 4 definitely. I do like Crestwood at number 4.
Let's go to number 3. Top 3 teams here. I think we all agree on the top 3 teams. Might be a difference in order. I'll put Dallas at 3. I think this team definitely has a case to be number 1. But they're both the team I have number 2 and number 3, both still quality football teams. But the team at number 2's won a game, and Dallas hasn't yet. Tough opponents. I understand that, but you still got to win a game, I think, to be even put in the top 2 of the rankings. I had Dallas as the number 2 team coming into the season, the Wyoming area, which I don't want to run victory laps on that right now. It's week 2, but hey, looking pretty good. I'll put Dallas at number 3. If you want to put them at number 2, that's fine. But what I've seen so far, you got to hold them to a higher standard than some of these other teams, and I'll put them in number 3. Billy?
Number 3, for me, I like Tunkhannock at number 3. Tunkhannock, they've scored 24. They're scoring 24 points a contest right now. They're putting up the points. If they can get their defense a little tighter, I think Tunkhannock could be a good number 3 team. But that being said, we're not going to put them at number 3. Um, we're going to put Wilkes-Barre at number 3. Wilkes-Barre has some work to do, but I think they're one of the top 3 teams in the Wyoming Valley Conference.
Okay. Interested there. You were debating putting Tunkhannock at 3, but why not closer to 5? I'm interested why, they could be number 3, but they're not in their rankings, or maybe they are in the top 2, which would be a pretty shocking take there. But I'm interested, like,
Let's call it a consideration thought.
okay. I was gonna say you said Tunkhannock. I was raising my eyebrows a little bit there, but he goes with Wilkes-Barre there, number 3. Who do you got?
Give me the Mountaineers. This is an obvious pick, but there's a lot more potential there than I feel like a lot of people are letting on. Like you said, 2 tough football games, and they should have gotten a win. I mean, returning state runner-ups, but they're like I said. I think they get a win this Friday night, and for that reason, they're the best 0-2 team. In,
Okay. Let's go to the top 2. The runner-up for me is Wilkes-Barre. Already a quality enough win in Week 1 against Whitehall. And listen, this is not the College Football Playoff Committee. We're not doing quality losses for Dallas, unfortunately. I don't care who you play. I'll value a win more than a loss every day and twice on Sundays. So
I respect that.
Wilkes-Barre's won a game. Dallas has not, so I'll put the Wolfpack at 2.
I put Dallas at number 2. Dallas is a team that, again, we're talking about a team that went to the state title last year. They've got some coach knows how to get things going. I believe they're going to get the power clean going, and they're gonna keep it rolling, and they're gonna start winning with Zapicnicky, or I don't know how to say his last name. But the quarterback is going to do a good job, and I think they have potential to make a big run of it. Now let's remember also Dallas. Dallas has they've played Jersey Shore and Wyoming area, two of the toughest teams in the state of Pennsylvania. So we have to look at how they played those games. 21-28, they lost to Jersey Shore by one touchdown, and they lost to Wyoming area by one touchdown, 41-4. You can't take away from Dallas right now. They're playing good football. They're scoring points. I think they're the number two team right now. Right now.
Yeah, not a bad take. The quarterback is Zapatiki for Dallas. Let's move on. Your number two team.
This is gonna be shocking because I know I was talking a lot about them like being very good, but give me Wyoming area at number two.
That's wild. That's
I-
just wild.
They're
How are the,
2-0, yes, 2-0,
Okay.
yes, but I don't know. I haven't seen what I need to see yet to dignify that as the best team in the conference. Back to what Billy said, you have to give credit to the games you've played against high-level football teams.
okay?
Yeah, and remember Dallas. Dallas played them tough, and Dallas put 41 points on them. So you got to, that defense has to show up for sure.
Yeah.
hmm Let's go to number one. I thought we were going to be unanimous on here. Then Quincy had to throw a wrench in things. My number one's Wyoming area, and I think it should be for most people that have a brain.
Oh, you be quiet,
Just
Quincy.
kidding, just kidding. Wyoming area is the best team in the conference right now, and even I think if they would play any of these teams again and down the road, I still think they win. You look at their resume on my list right now, they have wins against the third team and the fourth team. You can't say that about anybody else, and they're the only undefeated team in the conference. There's really nothing here. They have the best resume. They have a 0 in the loss column. I don't think there's really any argument against Wyoming area beating the best teams in the Wyoming Valley Conference, winning both games. They're 2-0. Nobody else is. Enough said.
I'm gonna agree with Wyoming area by a hair. Okay, and the reason is, like I said before, the defense. They're giving up a lot of points. They have to score a lot of points to win these games. So right now, I would, even though they're 2-0 and Dallas is 0-2, I kind of have them both locked at the top. Now looking at schedules, in another game the rest of the year, the rest of the regular season. They're just not going to lose another game. So that being said, they're going to end up with the top seed over Dallas if Dallas resurges and gets their wins. So it's almost a pretty easy call to say Wyoming area is the number one team. But look out for those Mountaineers. Coach Manella knows how to put a team together and start winning. There is a hiccup on both of their schedules. Well, not both of their schedules. Dallas has a bigger hiccup than Miami area. Dallas plays Wilkes-Barre, and I think that is going to be a telling game for Dallas.
All right, that's our top 5 teams in the Wyoming Valley Conference. Before we get to game picks, I just threw something in here, guys. I'm going to
Did we get Quincy's number one team?
Oh.
We locked it. We locked it in. It's I'm kind of stuck
Yeah.
with Wilkes-Barre area.
Yeah.
I regret that pick the more that I think about it. But
Yeah.
hey, you live, you learn.
I guess you haven't learned from last week.
Yeah,
so,
true. I still haven't learned my lesson.
Maybe one day.
Hey,
But,
Coach Siri is going to be your hero.
Coach
Or you're his
Siri.
hero. He's
Yeah.
going to love you for that pick.
all right,
Sorry.
let's move on here. A little thing I threw in just for fun. We'll talk about this for a couple minutes. I have some takes here. You guys got to give me a 1 to 10 scale on how realistic this is going to happen on a hot take scale. So 10 is the hottest take you've ever heard. That's like Lake Lehman's going to beat Shamokin. That's like number 10. 10 out of 1 to 10. 1 is the coldest take you've ever heard. Everybody agrees. Let's start. I'll get Billy's intake and then Quincy's next. Dallas is in trouble. That's the headline. Dallas is in trouble. 1 to 10. How hot of a take is that?
2. It's a 2. Their schedule is favorable. I think they're going to win the rest of their games. Like I said, the only question mark might be that Wilkes-Barre game coming up in a couple of weeks. So Manella's a good coach. We've seen Dallas start slow before, and come out of the gates. Last year, we didn't even look at Dallas. They did start slow last year, and they came out of the gates. So it's like a two. It's not really a big deal to worry about. I think will be in good shape.
I just want to preface something. So one means you kind of agree with it. It's not a hot take. So if you say two, Dallas is in trouble. That means you say yeah they are in trouble. But 9 or 10's like so you'll flip it.
Yeah,
So you'll probably say a 9.
yeah. This is a nine.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
I'm at about an 8 or a 9.
9.
If they drop to Abington Heights this week, I will definitely be in the agreement camp. Like I'll agree with that statement that Dallas is in trouble. But I hate like using words like that with like teams like this early in the season because you don't really know what kind of product you're gonna see on the football field come October. But since we're talking about it now, yeah, about an 8 or a 9.
I'm going to disagree with you guys. I'm going to go with a 4 and a 5, 4-5 area.
Please tell why.
I will, because where is the expectation for this team? Because I think the expectation is to win a state playoff game. Because you went to the state championship a year ago. This team is not a state playoff team winning team right now. That's why I say they're in trouble. Defense is shaky. Two good teams. But guess what? When it's November, you're going to play good teams in the postseason. So I would say this is not as hot a take as you guys are hyping it up to be. It's a 4 or 5. Although, can they rattle off 8 straight wins and really put me to bed and go win the conference and win the district title? Sure. But the expectations for Dallas is different from a smaller team. Dallas has higher expectations. They have better pedigree. So I do think the Dallas Mountaineers are in trouble. Next one. Crestwood will not have a winning record this year. They're 0-2. They will go 5-5 or worse. 10, that's the hottest take you've ever heard. 1, it's cool, fine. I kind of agree with it. What do you got, Billy?
I do kind of agree with it. You know, I it's going to be a tough year for Crestwood this year. They're struggling to score points, and you know, it's just I don't know what's going on with Crestwood right now. I'm used to seeing great athletes coming out of there. We don't see a name. I don't see a name that I can remember from Crestwood off their roster. So yeah, I agree. It's the top of the scale. It's right up there. It's a hot take.
What do you got?
Wait, so tell me this scale again. Like 1, I agree with.
So Crestwood won't have a winning record. 10, that means it's a hot take. You're so wrong. That's hot.
That's like me picking Lake Lehman.
Yeah, it's a hot take.
Yeah, I know what. Yeah.
1 is it's reasonable. Everybody agrees with it.
I see 2, potentially 3 more losses on the record.
Okay.
So that's not much of a hot take at all. 1 or a 2.
Okay. I got 2 Wyoming area ones. The Crestwood one, I'll put it right smack dab at a 5. I think it's 50-50. I could see them go 6-4, 7-3. I could also see them go 4-6. The only thing is, I think they have a higher ceiling, which is 8-2, 7-3, 6-4. Don't think they're going to go 3-7 or 2-8 and whatnot. So there's a little margin of error if you think they're going to have won't have a winning record this year. 2 Wyoming area ones because they are the best team in the conference, Quincy.
Like I said, I regret it.
Wyoming area will be the only team in the Wyoming Valley Conference to win 7 or more games. That seems wild to begin with, but remember, Dallas can only drop 1 or more. Same thing with Crestwood. Wilkes-Barre is in there. Billy, what do you got?
I agree with it 100%. I do. I think Dallas does drop another game. I think they do drop the Wilkes-Barre game, and there's potential for one more loss until they get rolling. One thing I will say about the Crestwood, if we can go back for a second, is Crestwood's got a tough schedule. They probably have one of the toughest schedules that out of the Wyoming. I mean, they still have. They lost to Valley View. They still have Western Wayne, who is a very strong football team coming up, and then they've got to play Dallas. They got to play Wilkes-Barre, and Wyoming Valley West and Crestwood is always a battle. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one. But I agree. I mean, they could be the only team with 7 wins or more this year in the Wyoming Valley Conference.
That's not ridiculous to say
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
Not that is. I agree with what you're saying.
All right. The final one, also with the Wyoming area Warriors, the Wyoming area will win a state playoff game this year. So not only will they win their district, they will go out and win at least one state playoff game this year. How hot of a take is that?
That's a tough one. Well, I'll tell you what. It's going to be tough for Wyoming area to get out of District Two. There's some pretty good football teams in District Two this year. You know Scranton Prep. It's going to be difficult for them to get past Scranton Prep, and which is a 3A team as well. So Mid Valley is playing really good football. Middle of the pack on this one, buddy. Middle of the pack.
Quincy?
That's about where I am. I could see it, but I also couldn't. Like you said, Scranton Prep's a very good football team.
All right, those were our hot takes. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, the picks for week number 3 in the Wyoming Valley Conference. Let's start off with Hazleton and West Scranton. You guys love Hazleton.
Yes, we do.
I'm actually going to pick West Scranton. Go against you guys a little bit here. I'm going to go 28-17 for West Scranton to beat Hazleton and go to 0-3 for the Cougars. I'm not too big in this Hazleton team. They have one of the largest enrollments for boys in the state. And they really haven't been able to produce as of late. Maybe the changes here, but I do like West Scranton.
West Scranton is scoring one more touchdown than Hazleton is this year, so I'll go with the Invaders as well. I also like to add the Invaders have a nicer looking helmet logo.
That's usually, you can pick out the X's and O's and whatnot, but whoever looks better and has a better helmet, that definitely adds some juice into it.
It was Deion Sanders that once said, "You look good, you feel good, you feel good, you play good, you play good, they pay good." Anyways, that being said, give me the Invaders by a field goal.
Okay, I thought I was going on a limb with the way you guys were hyping up Hazleton, but
No.
I guess not. Big game here, Wilkes-Barre and Valley View, two really good teams around the area. I've been big on this Wilkes-Barre train. One of these teams is going to go start and be 1-2 after this game. I like Wilkes-Barre, believe it or not. I like Wilkes-Barre going, and they're going to beat Valley View by a field goal, 24-21.
So it's my turn, huh? Wilkes-Barre, they've got 23 points. Like I said, they're scoring on offense. Valley View 14. I got to go with Wilkes-Barre as well, Coach Cinti. Love you, man.
All right. Defensive game there. What's the Wilkes-Barre score?
Wolfpack by a touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wolfpack by a tutty. All right, let's move on. Big game here for Dallas. I don't think this is will they win game. It's how good do they look in the win game. No discredits for Abington Heights. They can come out and surprise us, definitely. But Dallas, they really need to turn it around early. They're into an 0-2 hole already. I think they win against Abington Heights 35-20, maybe a little bit closer in the beginning. But I like Dallas going away by about 2 scores.
I like Dallas too. Abington Heights struggling, man. I mean, they are just. I don't know what's going on with that program up there. They've got the facilities, they've got the players. They're just not. I think Dallas by 2 touchdowns.
This is the week Dallas gets back. Give me the Mountaineers 2 touchdowns, maybe 3.
Okay. Pittston and Nanticoke, two of these teams that are in that middle purgatory type area, and nobody's really been able to get out of it yet. I think this is a game that can definitely be a close football game, but I think Pittston, in the end, wins it 28-14, 2 scores, a pretty solid win for the Patriots.
I don't do scores usually, but I'm going to go with the Patriots as well. Nanticoke just, I don't know. We mentioned it earlier. It's going to be difficult for them to win a game this year. Not to mention they're missing. They graduated one of the best players to come through Nanticoke in quite a few years. The Fox kids. So I mean, they're replacing everything, including their coach. So it's going to be tough for them to get a win. I'm not going to disappear. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right. Goodness, he disappeared.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he said he would. He said he wouldn't disappear. That's good.
Our boss is a magician.
I guess so.
Yeah, I'm about the same as you guys are. Pittston by a touchdown, maybe 2.
Okay. Wyoming Valley West and North Pocono. I do a picks thing with Jared Costco, I always say that. Jared Samuel and John Costco. And you got to pick an upset every single week. My upset's the Wyoming Valley West Spartans. I do think they win this game. I don't know about do I think they're gonna win? Maybe not, but scared money don't make money. I'm not betting this game because that's illegal because I'm not 21. But I do think Wyoming Valley West gets an upset over North Pocono. I'm not expecting you guys to agree with me, but you got to go out on a limb. This is my limb pick. Wyoming Valley West gets a close upset win.
North Pocono has scored 32 points average this year. Granted, it's against Nanticoke and Pittston, but if we're picking Pittston to go over to get a win this week, I got to pick North Pocono to get the win this week as well.
Okay. This is my Lake Lehman pick from last week. I'm gonna be right here. I don't know about that, but we'll see. We'll see. Crestwood Tunkhannock, big game, kind of like what we saw with Dallas, 2 0-2 teams that expected to be in the upper echelon of the conference. I think Crestwood wins by 3 scores. I'll go 34-13 over Tunkhannock. I think they finally start to get some of their I don't know what's the word. Get some of their
Mojo back.
Mojo, sure. In a big win, get their guys right back on the right foot. Just because the schedule, as Billy outlined, it gets tough. You thought the first 2 weeks were tough. It gets tough down the stretch as well. They need some of these wins. They need to bank on some of these wins. I think they win by 3 scores, like I said.
I'll pick Crestwood as well. Tunkhannock they're undermanned. Their numbers aren't great. I know the coach very well, and he's struggling as well. You can't win if you don't have the players. So we're gonna go with Crestwood on this one.
Around, it was a clean sweep.
Okay, going Crestwood. All right. Let's go to our game of the week here. Wyoming area, Western Wayne. Really good team for Western Wayne. They really put together a great showing against Lackawanna Trail, beating them by 3 scores. The defense is great. This is a classic, old school, your grandfather will be proud football game. They're running, they're playing defense. We're not doing any of this passing garbage. All right. I think Western Wayne wins the game by a field goal. Really close. This is a really, really good team. One of, if not the best team in the area around here. I think Western Wayne wins. They get to 3-0, and what a resume they've had.
Western Wayne, 3 touchdowns.
Whoa, 3 touchdowns. That's a steep hole there.
West, am I on?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Wyoming area is going to clobber these guys.
Really?
Well, yeah, Western Wayne is a decent team, but they're an up and comer. We'll give them credit for having a good record and playing good football, but I think this is the one area in the Wyoming Valley Conference where they get the win against Lackawanna Conference.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you got?
I'm with you, Mason.
Okay, we'll ride this together.
Exactly, but I'm. Well, my record as far as making picks in this neck of the woods isn't very good. So
yeah,
if you want to get off that ship, I understand.
It's not the ship I want to be on. Anyway, let's move on to Lackawanna Trail in Berwick. Berwick is struggling right now. They haven't really been able to put the pieces together. Maybe they're in it a little bit more than what it was last year. They made a little bit of less mistakes than what they did last year for Berwick. Lackawanna Trail's so sound, though. I think they win this game pretty handily. I don't want to be too harsh on the score, but I do think Lackawanna Trail wins this game. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a game going into the second half. I think it's over early, unfortunately, for Berwick. I think they go to 0-3. Schedule lightens up down the stretch, but I think Lackawanna Trail pretty handily.
Trail is a state title contender this year. There's just no hope for Berwick this week.
Yeah.
None.
Well, as me, you, and Jared all agreed last week for CJ Curry and the Bulldogs, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think
I love CJ. I do. I love CJ. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Next door to his dad, and CJ will he'll get it going right in Berwick. It's just going to take him a while.
Yeah, it'll take some time. Let's go to Holy Cross and Hanover. I like Holy Cross in this game. Not too high on Hanover. They do have a good receiver, Joshua Olaway Kellum, I believe is his name. 160 yards, 2 touchdowns as a sophomore. He's a good player, transferred in from Wyoming Valley West. I'll take Holy Cross, though.
I'm going to go with Hanover. And the reason I say that is I think they're going to find a way to get the ball to Kellum this week. I think this kid's hungry. He talks a lot on Twitter, so I think he's hungry, and I think he's going to get some points.
Yeah, he is one of the most vocal guys I've seen on Twitter. He's always at me and his stuff and whatnot. So, yeah, good pick there.
Holy Cross by about a touchdown.
All right. Lake Lehman versus Northwest. I think this is a bounce back spot for Lake Lehman. I think they get the 2-1 after being shut out over Shamokin. I'll go Lake Lehman 28, Northwest 7. I do think they win this game pretty handily. They're a good team. I mean, don't let the Shamokin game fool you. This is a good enough football team that can win a couple of games and be better than what they've been in years prior.
That's a tough one, man. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Lake Lehman. They got a little momentum this year. Northwest struggling right now, so I'm going to go with Lake Lehman on this one by 10.
That's about where I am. Lake Lehman, a touchdown, maybe 10. I'm just hoping I don't live to
a touchdown or 10. That's a lot of touchdowns.
A touchdown, maybe 10 points.
I know what you meant, but
yeah.
Just the way it worded.
Yeah, you're right. That was a poor choice.
Touchdown or 10. All right, so they're either going to win by 7 or 70. So our final pick is Carbondale and Holy Redeemer. I think Carbondale wins this one pretty convincingly. I think it's a mercy rule game. Holy Redeemer, not much going for him right now, unfortunately. It could definitely get better down the road, but I don't see it right now.
Redeemer's not going to score a point again. They're going to stay scoreless. That's just it's tough for those Catholic schools up there, Holy Cross and Holy Redeemer. But I don't think they score a point this weekend.
Carbondale by a whole bunch.
A whole bunch? Maybe 10? Maybe 10 touchdowns?
Yeah.
That's the one? All right. So we do this every single week, putting Billy on the spot and maybe Quincy here because I didn't have it in the notes. What's going to be the storyline of the Wyoming Valley Conference as we come back next week? What's going to be that thing that stands out? I'll start and I say I think the storyline will be the Wilkes-Barre area Wolfpack beating Valley View, and Wilkes-Barre is kind of back to being legit. I think that's the main storyline out of the Wyoming Valley Conference. What do you got, Billy?
I think the storyline has to be Berwick, just the struggles of Berwick from a once great power to they're in the lowest division in the Wyoming Valley Conference, and they're about to go 0-3. I can't remember the last time a Berwick football team has started 0-3.
That was last year, but it's been a while. Last year since the last time they were 0-3.
I don't know last year. So, see, that's how far away it was. But I mean, Berwick's looking down the barrel of 0-5. It's just that's a big story.
You don't think they get wins over Hazleton or Hanover?
Man, they might beat Hanover. I don't think they beat Hazleton.
All right. What's your storyline from the week as we come back next week?
I hate to piggyback off the boss, but Berwick. There's too many questions there.
Too many questions to see when they will be answered. Thank you guys for listening to the Wyoming Valley Conference preview. I'll be back next week. We'll see who joins me next week, a host of characters. Enjoy the games on Friday night. Enjoy the full weekend of football ahead. Have a good night, and enjoy your weekend.